What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this POV review by Autobahn. My name is Max, and today you join me on a lovely evening in April. As you can see, we still have some sunlight in the evenings, which means that the season has started. Evening Autobahn runs are back, which is great. And today we took this 992.2 GTS convertible for a nice little drive on the B road, and after that for an Autobahn blast, because I drove this car in Spain when it was introduced last year. I did some B-road driving, I did some track driving, and it was amazing. But I always have that itch to drive it on our own B-road, and also of course to do some proper performance measurements and Autobahn driving with the car. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to do a quick walk around. I've already done a big video when it was released, so click in the top right corner if you want to learn everything about the new car. I will touch on some important parts, of course, today as well. So let's get going and dive in. We've got this viola purple car today. Beautiful color, really love it, especially on a convertible like this. Super nice spec. You get new bumpers for the GTS with these louvers that can open and close depending on the aerodynamic and cooling needs. A little bit of carbon fiber for this car as well. We've got new headlights for the facelift, which now also houses the indicators instead of being on the bumper. That is new. We've got these new wheels as well. Unfortunately, they are black. Don't like that, but I do like the design. I think it's absolutely gorgeous with the center lock as well. Behind that, for the facelift GTS, you get bigger brakes. These are the optional carbon ceramics, which are great most of the time, but I'll tell you a little bit more about that later on. We've got these Goodyear Eagle F1 Super Sport R tires, very sticky tires. Ooh, they're nice and hot. And this is a 245 tire at the front. You get new dampers for the GTS. The geometry and the suspension, the spring rate is the same, but you get new dampers. Also, because the GTS is 50 kilos heavier than the Carrera S, down to the fact that it is now a hybrid. It's a T hybrid, so you have a little battery pack at the front, which weighs 27 kilos and is 1.9 kilowatt hour. And you've got rear wheel steering as standard on the GTS as well, and that also adds weight. Combine that with some extra electrical components that are added, and you end up with a weight of 50 kilos extra, which means 1595 for the coupe, 1675 for the convertible, which is actually not bad. They wanted to keep it below 1600 for the coupe, and they managed to do that. You do feel that it is heavier than a Carrera or a Carrera S, I have to say, but we'll cover that while driving a little bit more. This is a 315 tire, so we've got 20 inch at the front, 21 inch at the rear. A little bit of carbon fiber at the rear as well, with the new central placed exhaust. Carrera GTS badge, the new LED bar running across the rear, and of course the engine, which is now a 3.6 flat 6 instead of a 3 liter. It's an evolution of that engine, but it has a single turbo, a bigger single turbo with an electric motor sort of incorporated in the turbo between the compressor and the turbine wheel, which means that it can both add power and also recharge, regenerate electricity to go back into the battery. There's also an electric motor on or integrated into the PDK, I should say, which is also very nice. So you get little boosts of power, of electric power, to fill the gap, especially of course of that big turbo. So that is basically what they did. They put a big turbo on it and then added some electricity to fill the gap of that turbo lag, which means that this car is very suitable for Autobahn driving, because it just keeps going and keeps delivering that power all the way to the red line, which is really cool. So basically the electricity, the hybrid part, is to boost performance, but also to gain performance in a more efficient way, which is, you know, that is the Porsche way, of course. It's a lovely evening. Sun is about to set, so we're going to get going. Interior spec also very nice, with a lot of Alcantara. Everything is black, unfortunately, but other than that, super nice materials and a spec. Wow, it is getting a little bit cold though. 12 degrees. So start it up in normal mode. If we go to sport, nothing really happens. Sport plus. So there is an exhaust button right there, but it's mainly fake sound being pumped through the speakers, because I can hear a very slight difference, but it's not like a valve that opens up. So heated steering wheel, heated seats, PDK in drive, and we'll get going. So funnily enough, if you go to Sport Plus, it automatically closes the exhaust, or you know, goes out of the exhaust sport mode. And if you go to sport, it opens up. So what we're going to do is Sport Plus, exhaust open, traction control off, and then we're off for a little drive. Manual mode. So you immediately feel that little boost in electric power. You do. It's when you hit the throttle. Let me just get this out of the way slightly. You can see a blue line right there. You know, I touch the throttle and you can see the blue line, and it also disappears again quite quickly. So it's just there to give you a little bit of boost to cover that turbo lag, and then it also goes away again. And that means that even though you have a very small battery, you can see it right there, it's almost 100% of the time it's fully charged, because it's so small, and it also regens with the brakes and through the turbo exhaust gases. So it regens really quickly. And because you have that electric boost and then the flat six with that single turbo taking over, it just keeps pulling. It's ridiculous. The GTS always used to be sort of a sweet spot in the range. You know, it's Carrera S with a little bit of extra power, with a lot of extra options, and the sports chrono pack and all the things that make a driver's 911 basically. This, however, feels different. I think it feels different in the sense that it doesn't feel like that anymore. It doesn't feel like a Carrera S with a few nice options. It feels more like halfway between a Carrera S and a turbo. It feels more like its own thing, like a GTS is a separate model. Oh, it just keeps going. 7,500 RPM, I believe that is. Yeah. Wow. It's a very impressive car. I already knew that. But it is really quick. It also goes sideways, but you need to push it quite hard because those tires are very sticky. So get the roof up and Sport Plus, everything should be a-okay. We have some cool screens here, maybe this is nice. Yeah. So brakes, we have the optional carbon ceramics, as I said. You have a super slight bit of dead brake pedal. I feel like at the top of the brake pedal it just doesn't feel like it's going to bite the way I want, but it's very slight. I think that has to do with the regen. Listen to that difference. That's mostly fake sound, I think, which I don't really like. To 200 we did a 7.28, which is quite quick. It's not as quick as I was expecting, to be honest, with 541 horsepower, because that's how much it's got. So let's find out what it will do. Top speed wise, it's supposed to do 312. It turned into this new thing, this different car, which is a good thing and a bad thing, if you ask me. So the good thing is it's its own car. It's a distinct thing. It has its own character, right? It doesn't feel as similar to a Carrera S as before. You have very cool sounds as well. Do you hear that? That sort of blow off. It doesn't have a wastegate, but it does have some sort of blow off there, which sounds really good. And sometimes you also hear sort of an electric motor whirring away. It sounds really cool, but it does feel quite heavy sometimes. You know, 1675, that is not, you know, it's not a featherweight. So sometimes you just feel like now on an on-ramp, like it's sort of hanging on. You feel the increase in weight, but it is absolutely really quick. It has a big turbo character, which I think is super cool. So 6,000 RPM, foot down, all the way to 7.5. It keeps pulling. The 992.1 Carrera S or GTS, it would feel like you were straining it a little bit, you know, at the top of the revs, like there was not that much left. This car just keeps on giving. It likes to rev. You also get a quicker steering for the GTS, and because of some clever packaging, the engine is also like 10 centimeters lower in the car. It's really impressive, this car. It really is. I don't know if you can hear that, but this is the electric motor sound is quite cool to have. It adds another dimension. There are some sounds going on that makes it sound kind of high tech, which is cool. So let's hit this off ramp. See what it feels like over here. So I feel like the car needs a little bit of a turn to settle, and when it does, it grips like crazy. The traction is insane. It really is. Oh, it's an absolute weapon. I don't know why you would need four-wheel drive in this. It just grips like crazy. And it has this urgent power delivery. You hear that? It It sounds and feels like it wants to rev, it wants you to push it. It's like happy doing this. It's very impressive. I don't know if it's the best one of the lineup. I do feel like the GTS part of previous 911s, especially the older ones, but also the 991. The GTS used to be a sharper, more focused version of the Carrera S, and when you go back even further, it's like a light version of a GT3. This doesn't feel like that. I feel like it doesn't have the added sharpness of previous GTSs. So that's also what I meant when I said it feels like a different thing. It's its own car now. The GTS means it really is halfway between the Carrera S and the Turbo power-wise, but also what it feels like. It's a rear-wheel drive turbo light, basically. So that is an entirely new version of the 911 as well. If you want like a proper driver's 911, you would get the Carrera T now with the manual gearbox, of course. That is the one I would really like. You have the new Carrera S now, which also has a little bit more power. So I think they moved everything up, and they try to fill gaps with cars that cater to a different audience. So the Carrera T is very specifically targeted at people who want to really extract everything from it from a driver's perspective. So I think that kind of replaces the old GTS. And this is more like a turbo light with rear-wheel drive, which is super cool because you can slide it around, but it has a lot of grip still, so which I think is really cool. It has plenty of power, rear-wheel drive, really good power delivery. So yeah, amazing as always. Thanks for watching. That was it for this review. Hope you enjoyed it. You can subscribe by clicking the big button in the middle. You can also check out this video, this playlist, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye.